There we go, record. Welcome, guys. It is Monday morning. Yeah, it's pretty active Asian session. Let's put it that way. Let's put it that way. Lots of good morning messages. So good morning, good morning. Right, let's have a little look as to what is actually happening, why, where, how. So let's have a look first of all with the dollar. All right, probably as expected. Obviously, everything is going with the dollar right now. However, yields are the one which is getting me right now. It is mental. If we look at last July, we were at this height, and it's not stopping. It's crazy. So naturally, obviously, that's going to push the dollar up. I have played it a little bit safer this morning across the board. I'm expecting dollar to hit this 100 level here, but yeah, I have played our entries a little bit, safer just because of the heavy, movement we've had. If you look at Asia, nice big push up here. Yields, still flying high. So yeah, that's obviously what we've got to be looking at today. That continuation of trend is not trying to buy the bottom or sell the bottom. It's waiting. All right, it's that's the key thing. That's the most important thing. So if I load this up today, we don't have a lot on today. We had a BOJ monthly report. Not a lot going on. We got Atlanta for Fed GDP, but that's later on this afternoon. This is the last week of obviously us being an hour behind where we normally would. So remember the clocks go forward, is it this weekend? Yeah, spring forward. So yeah, from obviously from Saturday, we'll obviously be back to normal. So we'll be trading 1 till 2, not obviously 12 until 1 in the afternoon. Now, one thing that we do have to be very aware of, and this is for any gold trader, tread some water. Obviously, there's been this threat, all right, from Donald Trump. He gave Iran, I think there's 24 hours, or might be a bit less now. He wants Hormuz Hormuz open. For obviously the oil distribution because obviously everything's getting a little bit expensive. Now Iran apparently have turned around and said that look, you know what, we're not gonna open it up. We're not gonna not going to yeah, but basically bow down to your demands. They've threatened to blow some stuff up. The Trump threatened to obliterate their fuel. It's horrible, and obviously this is something that we can agree, disagree, or whatever. That doesn't matter. It's how we trade it, and it's one thing that we've got to be a little bit careful of. So obviously that's one thing that I am looking at. And obviously, I do think if anything escalates, gold has to start to pump because it's going to be very, very unpredictable, and also stocks are going to be crashing out. Now, what's everyone trading into at the moment? And it looks like there's a lot of cash being held. All right. So that's one thing that is very, very interesting. Yields and cash are what are being held. Why? Is it because everyone's looking at this as, the opportunity of a, lifetime to buy in a, stock? Because everything is down like massively, massive. So it is interesting. But obviously these are all things which will unravel as this all continues. But let's go through our trades. Obviously, what we're looking at and why gold. Obviously, we have to look, to sell it to the downside. I actually brought up two scenarios. I brought up a scenario. One was here. All right. We've smashed through this. So where will the next target be? Where's the next overall target? We've got to be looking at this weekly low here. All right, we're not far off, but obviously we've got to be looking at it. So do want it to come up, test into our area, and then reject. So that's what I'm kind of looking for here on gold. Not looking to buy, not looking to sell from down here. Everything has to be pinpoint. All right, then going from the top, pound. Like we've said, pound's my least favorite. That's why I pushed it up a bit higher. Just because it is a little bit messy. But we can't ignore how strong the dollar is, and the dollar is going to follow yields. All right, so that's one thing. The dollar will stay strong until obviously probably 99 500, 99 400 breaks, and then obviously we can look to capitalize on it in different ways. Euro, I'm actually expecting this one to already have triggered, but obviously you have to wait and see. Aussie, I like this, really, really like this. We've actually broken, not below everything completely, but obviously we broke through the nearest low here from Friday the 13th. So yeah, I like our placements at the moment on everything. And then obviously USDJPY acting slow. This is the one pair this week we need to be a bit wary of, because obviously the Bank of Japan are monitoring FX. They can't let it get out of control, because obviously a lot of yen is swapped into US dollar. And obviously we don't want it being too expensive. So they do have a chance, of controlling, because obviously they do hold a lot of US dollars, so they can, and have been, known to obviously buy their own currency. So that should obviously rectify the situation here. But yeah, let's wait and see what happens. But that's roundabout what I'm looking out for today. I'm going to add in. I'm going to add in. Potentially, I'm going to look at markets around 11 too, see if there's any smaller trades that we can capitalize on this week. And I'm going to look in around 4 p.m. Just for smaller trades, but obviously overall, I'm going to stick to the plan. So right, let's have a look at some of these questions. Greg, watched your video yesterday on market up levels. Thank you for that. Looking at GBP entry zone today, I get the bottom zone. Looking at retracement into this zone, I can see the levels on the 2 hour. However, we have a strong weekly level at 33700. Why would that not be the top of our zone versus the higher 38500? Let's have a look at that. GBP USD. So 33700. You are looking at the weekly. Yeah, I mean, like I'd said, levels are, subjective, and like we've seen here, all right, you gotta see that, these levels can be, spiked, all right, so we're not gonna put an entry bang on it, and I'd always advise everyone, don't put entries bang on, a particular, level, because although this is reacting, all right, there are times, a bit like this where it blasts through but then breaks back through. You don't want to put it, exactly on a, line. You're going to have a lot higher win rate if you use an area as opposed to a pinpointed price. Yeah. So if we were to look at this, say 700, if that's what you're talking about, then we've look at these. Say for example, we'd have had exactly the same entry here, right? This one would have spiked to all three, yeah. Because it's got to fake out and grab liquidity to then obviously pull to the downside. So yeah, that's obviously what yeah, I'd always recommend an area over a pinpointed um entry because you don't know how markets are going to react. And I think if you've got a particular area, and if I was to do this, oh, hold on a minute. There we go. Oh, there we go. Right, then you can understand, why why I'm looking at this area. If price is going to reject in, then obviously there's been a lot of, activity here. Yeah, so obviously that's why. Um, so yeah. Does anyone have any more questions? Any more for any more? Otherwise, we'll get to it. I think we got pound pretty close. We got euro trying to tail up. I would like gold. I think if we tap this, it'll be a really, really good entry. This, to tail it off to the downside. Might even extend this to this low here. I'd love this one here, but obviously that will be potentially a bit out. Yeah, USDJPY starting to come back, so it's just not been that very, very active early morning. We're obviously having to, wait for everything to come to us, which is, what we like to do, so. Right, well, if that is all the questions, I'm going to hold it off here. Obviously, like always, guys, I'll keep you updated all day. Feeling really, really good about this week. So, yeah, we're going to absolutely smash it. Let's go, team. Have a good one. Have a good one.